everybody, welcome back to The Scale Nerd. I'm Tom Pierce, and in this episode, we're going to look at a project I just recently completed called The Summoning. It's a little 1/48 scale project where I took a couple resin figures and built a custom base for it. And the whole idea here was to get some practice and try out a technique of painting called OSL and NMM. So what is OSL and NMM? So OSL painting is object source lighting. NMM is non-metallic metals, all right? So what are we talking about there? OSL, object source lighting. Basically, object source lighting is where you simulate lighting coming from a separate object directed at a target object. Object source lighting is very specific. So in photography, sometimes we refer to it as rim lighting or fill lighting, but it's basically lighting that's going at the target from a specific direction to accent or create more of a dramatic effect. So this effect can be subtle or it can be dramatic. Typically subtle is because there's a lot of existing ambient lighting and you can actually see the color of whatever the subject is, but it's just highlighted or accented in certain areas by an additional light in the scene that we would call the object source light. Where a more dramatic type of object OSL would be where there's no real ambient lighting, like a night scene, and you've got a very dark or very harsh, strong light coming from another object to illuminate it, or objects. It can be one object light coming from one direction, or it could be multiple lights. It can be white light, pure white light, where there's no color being added, or it can be colored lights. It can be one color, many colors. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do OSL lighting for the effect. Suffice it to say that OSL lighting adds a lot of character and interest and drama to a scene, and in this case, to a figure or a diorama. Non-metallic metals. So what are we talking about there? Normally, when we're doing figures or models or anything like that, where we're trying to simulate an object that's metal, like a sword or an armor, helmet, that type of thing, it's very common to just default to metallic paints, like a metallic silver paint, a metallic gold, and that works in a quick fix, but it's not believable, it's not convincing. So non-metallic metal is where you throw away all your metallic paints and you go back to just using traditional paint. So instead of having something that's just kind of sparkly and silver, but it's not really believable as stainless steel or as iron or as gold or chrome, you're going to use various traditional colored paints to emulate the effects that those different metal surfaces look like when you're looking at metal. So you're going to have reflections and different types of specular highlighting that are inherent to the different types of metals. This also allows you to create different types of metal surfaces, because you don't want your highly polished chrome and your stainless steel and your brushed aluminum and your hard iron. This shouldn't all look the same. So with non-metallic paints, you can simulate not only the fact that it's metal, but a different shade of metal, different color of metal, and different specularity, different surface, from a matte to a high gloss to a high polish. So it creates a very believable effect. All right, so there you go. Now the OSL and the NMM techniques really can become powerful when you use them together, as I did in this scene. So I'm using quite dramatic lighting in this. It's a nighttime scene with a very bright orangish light coming from one figure and kind of blue moonlight coming down from the other side. It's a little bit more of an ambient, but since it's nighttime, there's not a lot of reflectivity off the ground, so it's somewhat directional. So we got lights coming harsh from two different sides and a lot of black areas that aren't catching any light at all. And now when you take that and add that to the non-metallic metal techniques, it can make the metal look pretty spectacular. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll run a quick time lapse through the project and give you an idea how this worked out. Okay, so there you go, guys. The summoning's done. So this is a little project that I put together to try out my object source lighting painting technique and the non-metallic metals painting technique. I think using them together worked out pretty well, and I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe pick something up. It's not a really in-depth tutorial. It's more of a just kind of a walkthrough and highlight the basic process. As I get practice more and get better at it, I'll put together some more videos to get more in depth into these. But for now, it's a nice little primer. If you enjoyed this video, I thank you for coming to watch it and ask that you come give me some likes and subscribes on my Facebook page, The Scale Nerd on Facebook, and then also visit me on my YouTube channel, The Scale Nerd YouTube channel. We've got a lot of different projects we post up there from time to time. So until next time, thanks for coming and visiting me, and take care, safe and happy modeling, guys. Bye now.